This project set out to study the evolution of a game's meta using a machine learning algorithm to simulate players. The AI was given the rules of the game, which would then play hundreds of times while being recorded. This recorded data was then fed into the project's playback program to see what strategies were being used by the players and how they adapted over time to counter the other team. This back and forth of discovering and using strategies to beat their opponent is what defines an emergent metagame. The game played features two teams, attackers and defenders, with the attackers needing to get to the goal while the defenders needs to stop them reaching the goal. The project spanned over 4 generations, with balance changes made to each of them in response to the previous generation's meta. Generation 1 had little to no learning. It was mainly the prototype stage for setting up the rules of the game and loading the playback data into the application. Generation 2 had more learning, with a clear progression of a meta, with the defenders having more wins at the start by running into the attackers, until the dominant strategy shifted to the attackers when they would avoid the defenders and head straight for the goal. Generation 3 introduced more goals for the player to reach to try and reduce the attacker's wins, but still had a more dominant attacking team. Finally, Generation 4 added multiple defenders to the game to try and increase the chance of defenders' wins. This generation had a closer early meta, but eventually ended up with the attackers dominating again. The main flaw of the project is the simplicity required in its current state. The data from Generation 4 suggested that the game had gotten too complex for the algorithm to understand, as the defender scores followed how often the game would end with neither team reaching their goal. However, it does show how the use of machine learning agents to find a metagame could be used in the industry. This project was able to decide the rules of the game, leave an AI to play it, and then use the projected data to balance or make change to the game without a real person ever playing it. If this were on a larger scale, a game studio could use AI players to test their game to reduce time and resources spent on playtesting for balancing. It could also be used for finding bugs or exploits during development.